right, guys. Well, welcome to the. It's been a while since we've done an episode of this, but for everybody listening, welcome to the latest and best, I think, so far episode. I haven't done it yet, but I think it's going to be a good one. The latest episode of the Blue Water Cruising podcast. I'm Chris. You haven't met me before, and I'm super excited today to welcome Tammy and Dale, who I've known for quite a while now, and unlike some of our members, we've actually met, had the pleasure of meeting both of you, which was amazing. So Tammy and Dale are here today. They are out, obviously, as you guys can see in the video, on their boat, cruising around. They've been cruising. How long have you guys been out for now? Like a year?
Well, we picked up the boat. We bought the boat in November in Puerto Rico, November of 24.
Yeah, is it more than a year?
We have been on and off it since probably December of 25, full time ish. Yeah, and
No, we got on January of 25.
Yeah.
And then we started our full-time cruising season, I would say, where we no longer had a house or a car in September of 25.
Yeah.
And we just got
Amazing.
back from the Bahamas. So
time flies.
Oh,
yeah, it does.
We had work done on the boat in Puerto Rico, and then we had to get it back to the States, and then get out of hurricane season, and yeah, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of little ins, and yeah, so September. But we've been in the Bahamas ever since, and we are just now back to St. Simon Island in Georgia for a couple months.
Cool. So you got a solid season. I want to get into that, but I want to back up a little bit and kind of get into the way what I like to learn from doing these is a bit about because I think not everybody wants to go do this, and there's a lot of people in the world. Maybe you experienced this when you were talking about doing this originally with some other people out there that are like, you guys are nuts. Why would you go buy a boat and want to go and do something like this? So I want to kind of understand, or what I'm trying to understand maybe is what type of person wants to go do this? So I want to learn a little bit about you guys, who you are, and then what motivated you to want to go and do this? Was it both your dreams? Is it one of your dreams, or the other person kind of came along and was like, okay, yeah, I can do this? Because we get a lot of questions like that from people that are thinking about it. Is I really want to do this, but my wife or sometimes my husband doesn't want to. So you want to share a little bit about how you guys came to this, and why this? Like, why buying a boat and going sailing? Yeah.
All right. Well, it probably starts a lot with my mom and dad. They were very adventurous people. They took me and my brother and sister when we were 8, 10, and 12, to Central Africa from being in Illinois. And they kind of just gave us the spark that you can do anything, you can go anywhere, the world is great, and so we saw that. And honestly, all of us kids have done that. We've done extended different things. And then when I was back we moved back to Colorado when I was 13, 14 years old. I had read 2 books that I really, really enjoyed that kind of sparked my interest in sailing and having this lifestyle, maybe not so much sailing, but having this lifestyle, and really kind of has sat with me for 40 years. And it's one of those things. It's like, when I retire, this is what I'm going to do. I want to go do this. And people say, well, how come you didn't do it early? Well, I loved my job. I was an airline pilot. I was an Air Force pilot. I loved my job. I loved flying. So I did not want to get out early. I was just one of those things. So a lot of people do want to get out early. Great. You can do it earlier, but I loved my job. And so, we had it kind of in mind that this is what we're going to do when we retire. This is what I want to do. And Tammy, at this point, she's we've been married for 30 years, and she keeps hearing me talk about sailing. I want to go sailing. I want to go across. I want to be in the bed. I want to blah. And then I started watching some videos, and I had read back before YouTube. I was reading and watching and following a couple blogs of
Mm.
people that were sailing around the world, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is pretty cool, and I learned a lot from just their blogs. And it's like, okay, well, there was one blog of a guy, him and his wife, he called himself a sailor, but all of his blogs were, we're in the worst storm in the entire world. And then there was this other couple that were kind of more well-heeled, and they paid for weather, and they were never in bad weather. It was like going, okay, well, you can do the I'm on my own sailor bit and be in all these bad weather, or you can actually have somebody else help you. And they got all the way around the world and loved it, and that was kind of really the first point I realized that, okay, it's going to take us about 5 to 8 years to do this if we want to do it.
Yeah.
But the two books were that I really kind of resonated with was a book called Severe Mercy, and it's not specifically about sailing, but it had a lot of sailing imagery in it that, I'd like to do that. And then the Dove, about the kid, and so it was like, and it was more raw, but it was kind of cool. So, and Tammy had always kind of heard me talk about this, and it wasn't until we were starting to approach retirement that she said, I think he's actually serious.
Yeah. So in our marriage, I am an advocate for not shutting down one another's dreams, because a lot of times dreams are a healthy mental place to be in. And so if you're dreaming, you're actively flourishing, you're moving forward, you're thinking positive thoughts. So I never wanted to shut down that dream, but I did not understand it. I did not come from a similar background. My family didn't travel. There was not much adventure in my upbringing. But I knew when I married him, it was always something that he wanted to do. In fact, he had a little Hobie cat. That was our very first date, was on this little sailboat. So I should have known that it might be a reality somewhere down the line. But when I realized, when I saw him watching YouTube videos in 2020, and I'd look over his shoulder and I would ask the question, is that what you're talking about? Is that the kind of sailing you're talking about? Because Mr. Fighter Pilot, likes to ski off the biggest mountain in the deepest snow, Mr. Adventure and Risk Taker, I thought that for him, sailing was danger and adrenaline and storms and conquering the seas. And that didn't sound fun to me. I had kids. I had a life. I just didn't see that for our retirement. But when I look over his shoulder and see families on sailboats, out on the water, going from one place to another, experiencing cultures, seeing beauty that you can't see in any other way than from a sailboat. And the hard things, you get through a storm, you get through the relational issue, you learn and grow. When I realized that was the dream, then I got super curious. And it was about that same time we did discover blue water cruising. And so we went from watching YouTubes to having honest conversations. If we're going to do this, what does that look like? And so that was the transition for me.
Yeah. And I've always had a really good friend from high school, and our lives have been parallel. We, long-term marriages, kids, and when we were in high school, we had a unique relationship in that we lived bigger than we were where we were. When him and I were together, we understood bigger things, that we were going a long ways. And it's always been a dream of mine to have the two of us on a boat somewhere extremely remote, enjoying what we did in college, having a glass of wine and, playing cribbage and just being, in a very peaceful place. And we will get there. We have not. We were hoping we are going to do that this year, but it's just things have not worked out like we wanted them to. But that's okay, And the other thing about Tammy and I is that we have a very strong faith paradigm, and we hold this dream very loosely, in that we want to do this, but Lord, if you want us to do something else, then let us do something else. And so we hold the dream loosely, but with anticipation of going places. And one of the things we want to do is we want to circumnavigate. We have kids in Australia. There are some bucket list things I want to do. I want to have my boat parked downtown next to the Statue of Liberty. I want to have my boat parked underneath the Sydney Harbor Bridge at New Year's Eve, watching the fireworks with all the kids on board. There are some bucket list things, and whether we get to them or not, great. But so that's kind of what drove us to, okay, we can do this. It's time. Let's do this. Yeah.
I love it. I've read both those books actually. I've read Dove, which I read that, and that was a big inspiration for me.
Yeah.
I read A Severe Mercy actually much later. I don't remember any sailing imagery in that book.
There's not much.
I would not have connected that to sailing.
No. Yeah,
Great
when
book.
he tells people that, I tell them, don't expect a lot of sailing in that book.
Yeah.
But
the story's amazing. Like that.
Yeah,
they
were in the Keys, but this is back in must have been early '60s. They were in the Keys, and there was nothing down there, and they had a tiny sailboat. And they were just.
And they described reading books all day, and the slow pace of life, and
it wasn't a big. It wasn't a big part of the main thrust of that book, but it stuck with me. The imagery stuck with me. Yeah.
And the lifestyle.
Yeah.
The lifestyle, more laid back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's amazing, guys. And so, thanks for taking the time to share that. So you made it happen. And I also want to point out one thing, that is this, that you loved your job, which is super cool. I do meet people that but I would say meet a number of people, but we have a lot of people that I meet that are like, I'm done. I'm done with this thing. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not right. It's a little less regular to meet, to talk to somebody that's like, no, I did not want to, I love this so much. I was waiting until I didn't have to do it anymore. Or I did not until I didn't have to do it, until I wasn't able to do it anymore.
And honestly, I'm surprised. Surprised that we're in a unique age bracket to do this, because everyone we're meeting out on the water, we're the older category of people out there doing it, because people are leaving jobs. They are leaving the so-called rat race. And, there was a time the FAA was talking about extending the age for pilots' retirement to 67. And had they done that, he would have continued to fly. He loved it so much.
Right.
So I'm personally grateful. I mean, you to do something like sailing, especially when you have a bigger dream of circumnavigating, you can't do that forever. So starting with him at 67, I think I would have had more reservations about circumnavigating.
Right.
We do feel a little like it's now or never. But again, family, health, lots of things dictate whether or not we do that. But our goal, and we're pushing towards it, is to next year go across the Pacific and start circumnavigating.
Yeah.
So
we know that we
Dale,
have. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're an extremely young. Are you 66 now? Then, if you retired last year,
67. Yeah,
you're very young. 66.
Yeah, well, that I was blessed with good genes and good health
and a very spunky wife.
Oh yeah, very spunky wife.
So there you go.
Keeps me very.
There you go.
We knew that we knew going into this that we had risk management has been a lot of my life, and I knew that by the time I'm 75, so we had about a 10-year window. By the time I'm 75, yes, I could probably still sail, but if at 75, if we got into trouble, something went wrong, weather was bad, I may not have the physical strength at 75 to do what we need to do. So we have given ourselves 10 years. We said, okay, by the time we're 75, I'm 75, we probably need to be done sailing, at least across major oceans.
And we'll buy a trawler then.
We'll buy a trawler. Go up and down the Mississippi.
Yeah.
I don't
know. So everybody always wants to know. Tell me a bit about the boat, how you found the boat, what is the boat that you're on, and then I want to move on to some other stuff. But everybody likes to know that piece. And how'd you end up with it?
We're on a 2022 Leopard 45. We did an adventures week with Jack and Amy. We flew into St. Thomas to spend a week with them on their Leopard 48. We had been to the Miami Boat Show, which is the first time we met up with a lot of blue water cruising people. And we had the great opportunity with you and Keith to get on several boats. And what I loved about that process, however you want to say it, is that you guys weren't trying to sell us boats. You were trying to educate us. You were trying to give us tools to know how to look at boats in the future. Because at the boat show, obviously, you're looking at every sparkly new boat. And but even the sparkly new boats, I did kind of gravitate towards the Fontaine Peugeot and the Leopards because of what felt to me like a very livable space. But then being on Jack and Amy's boat kind of confirmed there's certain details about the Leopard that we really like. Not everybody does, but that was important to us. And looked at several in Fort Lauderdale with Chris Knapp. One was kind of a lemon. The other one was perfect. And the owners decided they didn't want to sell at that time after we made an offer. And so, yeah, it was up and down emotionally, very much so, because I knew the boat, but we weren't sure we were going to find a 3-cabin owner's version Leopard 45 about the age that we wanted. And, again, we're starting at an age that we didn't want to give 2 or 3 years to upgrading a boat.
Right.
So,
and we knew that from a lot of the stuff that we learned at Blue Water Cruising was that, you have time or you have money. And, we had a little more money than we had time. And we knew that we wanted a boat that was blue water capable. Nothing we had to go and add all the stuff. We wanted all the solar, we wanted all the batteries, we wanted all the stuff that was capable of sustaining life away from home. So we kind of had built a list that said this is what we got to have, to make this thing work for us. And then it was a matter of saying, well, it was a balancing act. Where's the money? How much time? How much money? Kind of idea, because it was a trade-off. And honestly, we looked at the last boat and it was just a disaster. And then it was like, okay, well, we have this timeshare in Mexico that we have gone to for 15 years with our families, and it was just like it's time we're going down there. Well, Chris Knapp, he emailed us or texted us and said, hey, I got a pocket listing. And we're going, what the heck's a pocket listing? And he had deals. He had friends, kind of idea. And the person that sent in the friend has become a friend of ours, and he's a great guy. He works for Just Cats. And Scott said, hey, I got this deal. And so then we started, so when we were in Mexico on vacation, we did this video walkthrough of this boat with the owner. And it was like, it had everything we wanted. Yeah.
And
so
you had to be a little bit, what I heard in that, you had to be a bit patient. even though you had
Yep.
this time pressure of like, hey, we only got 10 years,
Yeah.
only 10 years. 10 years is a good amount of time, but
Yeah.
you had to be a bit patient to not jump
Right.
into the thing, and then it showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It showed up.
And I know this, we feel grateful that we had some training. We had blue water cruising
Mm.
training to help us think through, to be mentally prepared when the right boat showed up. Because I'm almost 100% sure dollar signs would have made us buy a lesser boat, something in a different category that might not have been right for the mission that we have set for ourselves. And so we did end up spending more than we thought, but for the right boat that has absolutely everything and more. We still find stuff we don't fish yet, but we have all the best fishing gear. So, that's motivation to figure it out.
Right. And I think you
Right.
had actually said it was, people spend too much for
The wrong
the
boat.
wrong boat and not enough money for the right boat. And so, that kind of stuck with us. And we spent the right amount of money for the right boat, because there are things break and you have to replace things, but that's different than having to put a whole new system in it, so and it has everything on it. And I honestly, when we're with other people, I have to be kind of quiet because people are talking about, oh, I want to upgrade to this and that. And I'm going,
I
going,
already
yeah,
have that.
I got that, And so it's like, yeah, I have to bite my tongue and say, yeah, that's good. Anyway, yeah. So
we're pleased. We're very pleased.
We're very pleased with the boat.
I'm really glad to hear that. I like that stuck with you, because that is, I think, a big thing that people they get, like Tammy, like you said, the dollar signs. People sometimes that don't know gravitate to the thing that looks cheap. And then, like Dale, like you said, there's time and money in it. The thing that looks cheap costs you time and money.
Right.
Which you don't.
And we're very aware that not everybody falls into our category. And so, when we have friends that are working their asses off on a boat that they bought for cheap, my hat's off to them. I'm overwhelmed at what they do.
Yeah. So inspired
it's
by it.
So inspired by what they do. But it's like I didn't have that kind of time to put in that. So, I'm going, wow, and they're going to end up with a boat that's as good as ours. It's going to take them a couple years to make it.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just different missions that people have, and different resources that they've got available to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing I think about sailing, is that pretty much almost anybody can get into it. It just depends on what it looks like for you.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I want to shift gears a little bit. You mentioned this, and I love this approach. That you said you live your lives in this faith-based way, where you're like on this path, but if God is going to take you somewhere else, you're like, okay, we're going to go somewhere else.
Right.
On the path so far to like getting into this, getting out, you've been cruising for a little bit now. If you're open to sharing, what are the difficult decisions that you've been faced with? Has there been difficult decisions? I'm assuming there's been a few. What are, if you want to give
So we were involved in our local church. We had a role to play. More than that, I think we have always prided ourselves on wanting to be a good neighbor and make our neighborhood connected, so that we're living life together and supporting and connected to one another. And I feel that's a godly trait. I think when you love people and you want to care for those around you, I think that's a good way to live. And I was super worried in the beginning that we were going to float off into oblivion and not know what was going on in the world, not care, not have people to love on and to be loved by. I really was concerned about that. Partly that I'm a social being, and I thought that would be suffocating for me, but I wasn't sure, how God might see that choice in my life. If I have strength and will and adventure and time and resources, why would I not put myself in a position to use those in a positive way? And being out on the boat, I was questioning whether that was the right choice. It sounded selfish. It sounded remote. The 100% opposite has been true of our time on the boat. I've complained from time to time that I'm tired of being a good neighbor. Like, there's so many neighbors to be good to, and I just want to go be alone, and I want to do my thing, and I want to strip off my clothes and go swimming any time of day. But no, we're busy being good neighbors to all these boats that we're hanging out with. So that became a genuine non-issue in my faith life, in my heart life, and in my need to connect with community.
Tammy, you were telling us about you being a social being and we were talking about, hard decisions around the whole thing, and you were in the social being conversation.
Yeah, and the idea of feeling like it's important to use your life to give back and to be a good neighbor. Yes. And I wasn't sure if we floated away on a boat, what that looked like. It felt like maybe we were leaning into a very selfish dream that removed our energy and our resources and our time from giving back to other people. And I think for us, that's pretty important in our lives. But there couldn't be anything more flawed about that concern that I have, because we have neighbors everywhere we go, like neighbors that need things, and we need things from them. And being a good neighbor is easier on the water than it ever was in a neighborhood. In fact, he has heard me complain. I'm really tired of being a good neighbor now. I want to go to my own anchorage. I want to play Adam and Eve and take off my clothes and swim whenever I want. I don't want to be around people all the time. So my number one concern of being remote and isolated has been the exact opposite of that. I am around people all the time.
Sorry, Tammy, did you just say that you are socialed out? Like you are your social battery is running out and you want to be around less people and be on your own? Did I hear that correctly?
I hesitate to say it in that way. But there is a romantic version of sailing that I also held. And that's he and I, we've had a few moments in life where the first time it happened, we dropped off our 3 kids at summer camp. And it was in Utah. And we had this Mazda van and a tent and our bicycles. We didn't know where we were going or what we were going to do. And it was the most romantic, wonderful week of just doing whatever came up. So I also hold that a little bit in the sailing dream, that I want to be lost and nobody knows where I am, and we're just in love and all the sunbeams are shining on us. And now that is actually a harder thing to recreate on the boat, to be honest, because the boat needs our attention. It's serious work. I mean, when you're sailing and when you're preparing a route, one thing I found that we're really good at is being mission oriented to let's get on task. Let's plan this thing. We know what our jobs are now. We're getting better and better at it. But I mean, we'll be married 40 years, June 1st. It's just around the corner, 40 years. And somehow we're having some relationship hiccups. I mean, not in a big bad way, but I'm holding some expectation of romance and freedom and new life in that way, where the boat's kind of taken over. And so I'm finding myself whining a little bit about that. And so there you go. I mean, we're always growing, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to be brave enough to identify it and talk about it.
Yeah.
And in my experience, there's nothing like what you guys are doing to challenge you to grow in new ways. Put two people on a boat in a completely new environment in stressful situations, and you're gonna find a whole bunch of new ways to grow together with a boat.
Especially with our background. I mean, for the last 38 years,
Yeah.
I mean, I was a military pilot, and I was gone a lot. Usually, 2 or 3 months at a shot, and then I'd be long hours. And then as an airline pilot, I would be gone 3 or 4 days a week. And so
Mm,
now you've taken us gone from that kind of environment to saying, oh yeah, now you're together 24
yeah,
hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 2 years at least. And I mean, it's like, oh yeah, the whole different ball game. It's like, yeah, we're learning again. Yeah. And the other
cool.
challenges are, we have parents that are getting older, and we have young grandkids that we want to see. Where it's one of those things. It's like trying to figure out when's the best time to be gone, when they're 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, or when
Mm,
they're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. So it's,
mm,
I mean, it's an
But
interesting
our
challenge.
age is kind of directing that. I mean,
Yeah.
they're young,
yeah,
so we feel like let's go. By the time they're, if we're still doing it, preteens and teenagers, we will feel skilled enough to bring them aboard for a summer or whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
to teach them and show them things. And so, but again, those are all dreams that you have. Whether or not they come true, they're good dreams to lean into. So we try to present that to our kids.
Yeah.
how have you, because you mentioned a couple of challenges here. One is the relationship dynamic shifting,
Yeah.
and then the other one is the grandkids and your kids. The questions kind of applied to both, but maybe in different ways. How have you guys dealt with that? With the relationship shift, what have you found useful tools or strategies or whatever, or ways to? Because I know some people get on boats with that background,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, I know a guy I talked to just very recently, and they're getting divorced, and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
because the relationship didn't survive it, and
Right.
and
Right.
so I'm curious what's worked for you, and then also with the same question because the same thing with the grandkids and your kids, because I'm sure that navigating
Yeah.
that relationship is not
Right.
easy. There's expectations there from you guys as parents, and you want to live your life, and so what have
Yeah.
you found works for you to kind of
Well,
navigate
well,
through
for
those
me,
things?
yeah, for me, that one of the things that has been a great thing that I lean on a lot is that we got 40 years under our belt. I
Mm,
mean, it's it's like, okay, this is another challenge, but this is, the I hate to say this, and I don't want to sound preachy, but the word divorce is never in our language. It's it's
mm,
not there. We don't have that. We don't have that. We never joke about it. We never kid about it. It's not in our language. And so it's like we are committed to each other. And a lot has to do with the way we started life, which as a married couple, we did everything wrong. And we committed to each other, and the idea of just being committed. But I don't want to be committed and just not thriving, and
mm.
we have always
I
found a
get it.
way to be committed and to thrive. And a lot of it, I'm sorry, it's probably me. Probably the problem most of the time. It's probably I'm the problem. But it's one of these things. It's like, okay, she's very articulate, and I'm like a standard guy. It's like, what do you mean there's something wrong? I don't know.
Here's a very quick recent example.
Okay.
Some couples choose to sleep in different cabins. That would break my heart. You're sleeping in my cabin with me. That's what I want to do. That's how I want it to look. And so if he is worried and he gets up in the middle of the night, for him, he'd rather not be back and forth to bed to wake me up. So he'll come and sleep in the salon. There was a storm last night. We're not tied up exactly the way he wants to be tied up on the dock. And so he slept up here last night. But it was hot up here. So I came up and said, why are you not coming down where it's cool? And he explained his side. I felt a little wounded, but okay, that's a decent enough explanation. And then earlier that day, I get on the boat and I'm looking at how dirty it is. And I'm like, this boat is filthy. And he said to me, you know, when you say that, you make me feel like I'm not doing my job. So, you know, little things to be honest about. I don't like it when you don't come back to bed. You know, I worry about you. Are you overboard? And when I say the boat is filthy, he feels like I'm telling him he's not doing his job. So I had to say to him, how can I say that in a better way? Because it is filthy and I don't like it. But I'm not blaming you. You know, so you just have to keep at it.
Yeah,
you have to keep.
Yeah, communication. You know,
Communication.
you keep talking to each other about.
And it's not just communication for understanding; it's communication for connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Find language that helps you connect, not just defend or battle or you know, be in this constant loop of trying to understand each other but not getting there.
And I think for our grandchildren, our children and our grandchildren, you know, honestly, you know, our son is our biggest supporter.
My son is our
Tammy and
number one fan.
The other thing is that, you know, we started to do I thought we started to do a YouTube channel so that we could communicate with our families. And Tammy, yes, that's true, but Tammy is more outgoing than me, and she wants to do things excellently, and so she has lots of people to admire and try to strive up to, and so her YouTube channel is I'm really impressed with the quality of stuff that's coming out of it, and so with one of the things is our son is a very big supporter. I don't think our girls are as big as supporters, and that's fine.
They had an expectation that in retirement we would be on a plane more coming to them
wherever they're at, and that's fine, you know.
And that is a fair expectation.
Yeah, that's a fair expectation. Tammy has recently, just like in the last 2 weeks, started doing something specifically for the grandkids.
On YouTube.
She's made this little
animals that we've seen the last month,
and so it's been great.
Cool.
You know, we're trying to communicate with the kids, our grandkids, a little bit more directly, and so it's, you know, it's one of those things. It's like trying to make sure that everybody on board knows. And when people talk about float plans, so when we leave someplace, you know, I will put my route in on. We have a WhatsApp chat with my family chat. I'll put my WhatsApp route on there, and then, you know, send it out to everybody and saying, here's where we're going, here's the time frame, here's what we're expecting, blah blah blah. Trying to keep everybody kind of on board with what we're doing. Yeah, who knows? And you know, then we both have aging mothers right now that, you know, don't really kind of understand what the heck we're doing, and that's fine. You know, we're trying to keep them along, you know. And
do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have.
Either of you?
I have two, and
he has a brother sister. I have a brother sister. He's the middle. I'm the oldest.
Well, Tammy also has Tammy's mom, a saint of a woman. Seriously, after all of the 3 kids were out of the house, when she was older, she adopted like 5 kids. You know, and she has those children now are living closer to her, you know, but we have an extended family, you know, that are they're amazing people, you know. It's like, wow, phenomenal.
Wow. There was a ton of good stuff in that, guys. I think the communication thing around the communication thing around the relationship, but I liked what you said, Dale, about being committed, but like, what does commitment mean? You're like, it's thriving, because there is also, I think, couples that are committed, like you but it's like, committed to what? You know, like committed to living independent, not so happy lives because you don't really want to be together. Like, that's no fun.
Right. Yeah, that's not fun.
So I
love
the thriving thing. I loved this idea around the grandkids, like doing videos specifically for the grandkids. That's super, super cool. Curious to hear how they like that. Honestly, like for me, just kind of selfishly listening to you guys around some of the stuff you're dealing with, like, because I have some of the same. I'm not on the boat anymore, but I'm in Bali, and I don't, it's like I got a niece, I got a nephew, don't see them very often. I have a sister, I have my mom and my dad, and it's
Right.
it's the hardest part in a lot of ways of doing
Oh
this
yeah.
kind of thing is
Yeah.
you're gone from your family. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
um,
had my
okay,
little sister specifically asked me just about 2 weeks ago. She goes, "Okay, so when can we come see you guys on the boat?" And so that's kind of the first sibling family that says, "Hey, we want to come and see what we want to do this with you guys." So
cool.
hopefully, at the end of July, August, we're going to be moving up the East Coast, and we'll be able to get them on board with us. And they have 3 kids, and all their kids are grown and gone. So we're looking forward to being able to share that with these two. It'll be fun.
That's
It'll be a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
that's that's the best thing. I'm like, yeah, it's the absolute best thing. I never got my sister out. She never made it out to the boat, but my mom came out, my dad came out, my aunt came out. And it's the coolest thing ever to be able to share it with family, share with anybody, really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
my
Yeah.
view.
Yeah.
Cool, guys, cool. So you're parked now on the East Coast. You said you're in Brunswick, or not, well, in Georgia,
We're in St.
and
Simons.
you're in St. Simons, and you're taking a bit of a break, and then back at it next year to go across the Pacific.
Right.
Is that? And are you
Yeah.
gonna go up the East Coast? You're off to. I know you're off to go
Yep.
visit the family, and then are you gonna go
Uh,
up? So you're gonna go tick off the Statue of Liberty bucket list item? Is that the
Yep.
plan in
That's
the
one of
near
the
term?
plans. Yeah.
by probably 1st of August or mid-August, we're going up the East Coast. So we originally thought we were going all the way to Nova Scotia. That now just seems like too much to try to do
It's a
um,
lot. It's a lot.
from
Yeah.
August to November. So we're just, if we make it to the Chesapeake, that'd be great. We're going to take our time and not make a big plans around it. But yeah, it'd be great to see the
Right.
Statue of Liberty and do
Yeah.
that.
There's some things we want to do on the boat, and that's one of the things that's been a real learning curve for us is figuring out what do you actually need to do. If you need something done, where can you get it done? And do you need to haul out for it? If you're going to haul out for it, what else do you need to do? So there's, those are still things that we're learning about. What are you going to do? So if I was going to say we're going to go tomorrow to the South Pacific, the 2 things that I think that we need to have on this boat done differently is our isinglass on the helm enclosure is so hazy you can't see out of it safely. And the water maker membrane is not producing the kind of water we want it to do. It's safe, but it's on its downhill curve, so we got to fix that. Those 2 things, if we fix those 2 things, we could go.
You're good to go.
There are other things with the hull. But we can get those done in Grenada. We can get those things done, but those 2 things have got to be done before we go.
Okay. Those are pretty. I mean, from my perspective, pretty minor things. You just tick them out and tick them
Right.
off, and away you go. I mean, you're in great shape.
Yeah.
I want to go back to these books you mentioned, Dove in particular. So you
Yeah.
were, I don't know when you said you read it, 30 odd years ago or something.
I was older. Let's say that's close to 50 years ago.
50 years ago?
I hate
50
to
years ago?
say that word 50. 50 years ago. That's a half a century.
You got a
It's
lot of
like,
experience
really?
still.
You really want to say that you're that? I don't mind. That's the thing with my kids. It's like, I have kids, but I'm sorry, you can't be my child
Yeah.
because you're too old to be my
Actually,
child.
we have a child your age, Chris. I
Yeah.
just realized that.
Yeah.
With your birthday, I'm like, crap, man. No.
Yeah. So
Well, at least, hey, with
don't worry.
age comes wisdom for most people.
Yep.
Well, I'm still waiting for that. Okay.
Well, yeah. So you read that book 50 years ago. And you're living the life now that
Right.
you kind of envisioned then. We talked about this like expectations and does reality meet expectations?
Right.
In a nutshell, does like the dreams that you were having then, are you experiencing them now?
Yes and no. I mean,
Yeah.
the season in the Bahamas for us has been a challenge. Well, when we bought the boat, it was a challenge. We waited in Puerto Rico for almost 3 months for a weather window, and that was the first time that we experienced the idea of it. You got to pick your weather window. I mean, sometimes it doesn't come. You got to pick your time, and so being ready to go. And that's kind of an odd thing, being ready to go, being ready to go, being ready to go all the time. Oh, it's here. Let's go. Kind of idea. So, yes, it has exceeded our expectations. I mean, there are times that you we look at some of the places we are and just go, I can't believe that we're here. That we're here. This is beautiful, amazing place. And then there have been a couple times, especially flying or sailing at night with no moon. It's like, I can't believe we're here. What are we doing? The boat's getting slammed, and it's like, holy Toledo, is it going to come apart at our seams? What one thing we have learned is that the boat is more capable than we will ever be. So, and honestly, I when I was flying, when I was a professional pilot, the idea is that were the weatherman's lips moving, then he was lying. If his lips are moving, then he's lying. And it really kind of comes down to that. You got to really take what people say on weather, whether it be windy or predict wind or Chris Parker or, I don't care where you get your wind or your weather from. You got to know that them batting 25% is great. That's outstanding, and you got to be ready to go. Yeah, worst case scenario, what does this look like? Best case scenario, what does this look like? I mean, like this last sail we came across from the Bahamas. We looked at the weather window, looked at it, kept looking at it, going, okay, this is going to be good. We're going to have downwind sailing. It's going to be great. Yeah, no. It either went way off the scale and we had to take the sails down, or it was like no wind and it was like, now we're motoring again. It was like, ugh! So yeah, you could make that just drive you crazy, or it's just like, yeah, okay.
It's part
It
of the
is what
thing.
it is. It's part of it.
It is what it is. It's
It
one
is
of the
what it is.
pages out of that book.
Yeah.
One of the pages out of the book of the many adventures.
Yeah, that's
that guy went
exactly
on.
right. Yeah. So yeah,
Cool.
and we hope that we have more days that it's that it's what we really, really, really want, and less days of just trying to survive. And I say that trying to survive with kind of tongue in cheek. We have never, ever, ever, ever been in danger.
Yeah.
The thing that you get trapped on your boat for a couple days because of high winds. You're not in danger. It's just that you're not doing what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's this like, I mean, I've really come to this that deciding to go do this is making the deal that you're gonna get a bunch of these amazing days,
Right.
that are in like insanely amazing days. The price you pay is to deal with the crappy days, and
Right.
they're really crappy sometimes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But it's the deal you make. That's the
Right.
deal you make to go be able to do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, and not everybody knows what that deal. I don't think you can know what the deal you're making is until you actually go and do it.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, now I understand the deal.
Right.
And
But,
then some people are okay with it,
carry-
and some people aren't.
I carry with me when I finally was on board with the dream, when I
Mhm.
felt super emotional almost every time I talked about it, that this is my dream too. It's not just his dream. what I visualized in that is two people locking arms. He's always been the pilot. I've always mostly been the stay-at-home mom holding things together at home. We have been partners in that way, and our kids have thrived and our lives have thrived. But this, for the first time, felt like something. You don't know how to sail. I don't know how to sail. We're going to lock arms. We're going to step into the stream, and we are going to learn together as a true united team in a different way than we've ever been before.
Right.
And with that comes learning weather, learning disappointment, learning what it means to be scared at night, having the champagne sailing days, meeting people on the water, fighting a little now and then. So my expectation, when I keep it in that frame of reference, is beautiful. We are doing so many things at the same level. And I've never felt like, I've done the mom level, you've done the career level, and we meet in the middle. But this is something new and beautiful for our relationship. And someday we're going to be older. And, I thought about this the other day with my little piddly YouTube channel. I thought, I can almost imagine if for some reason one of us begins to lose our memory or whatever, if I'm the one, put me in some bright red lipstick and put me in front of the TV and give me my confetti bomb and let me just watch this beautiful story over and over and over. That sounds so dramatic, but it's a story we're building that we will carry with us into our old age.
Right.
And when I think about it that way, I just feel so proud of us, so happy that we're getting this opportunity. I'm so proud.
And for a lot of our lives, my job was such that she could not participate in.
I never saw him work.
There was no avenue for her to be part of it at all. We actually have some good friends that got us into tandem bicycle riding, which was the first time that we ever experienced the idea that you either do this together or you don't do it.
That big hill there, we get there together, or we don't get there at all together.
Yeah, and this is
very similar.
Similar along those lines, is that you either do this together, or you might as well quit, because this will turn unsafe really fast. Yeah.
And for us, it's not going to be one of us doing it without the other.
Right.
That is our commitment.
Yeah. Right.
Because we have other beautiful things we can go do besides sailing. But when you're at retirement and you're looking at this hallway and go, okay, let's pull back this curtain. Okay, we could go RV. That'd be fun. We could go travel like regular people and go on cruises. That'd be fun. Mm-hmm. We could stay here in our lovely house with our lovely friends and go to bingo every Monday night at our favorite brewery. That'd be fun. And then you peel back this one curtain that's a little bit terrifying, but somehow sucks you in with there's more awe, there's more wonder, there's more worship, there's more adventure, there's more of a lot of things. And this curtain was the one that just felt the most compelling.
Right.
Because we can leave this life together and go do one of the other things, and we probably will.
Yeah.
But for now, it felt like the one that was the scariest and the hardest and the most challenging felt like the right one to just go do for now.
Yeah. Sorry, we've been chatting.
No, I love it, guys. I like it's I love the tandem bicycle analogy. Yeah. Like, I think that is, I'm gonna take that and use it if I can, because I think that that's a great analogy for exactly what you've done. And I get what I hear you guys saying is it's a shared mission. You know, like you alluded to this before. You're like, and you said, you're like, hey, we've realized we're actually both really good at being mission focused and getting the job done. I don't know, I just think that's so cool. I think it's so cool. And I think my experience of it is like in the moment of doing it, there is these ups and downs,
Yeah.
and when you're in the downs, you can't quite see the ups, and when you're in the ups, you kind of know there's a down coming, you just don't know when.
Right.
And but for me, like when you've done it, and then you look back at it, and like Tammy, like you said, you're 100% right. Like you look back at that, and that it's a priceless experience to share that together with people that you love, and like everything we talked about from
Yep.
relationships, like that's the big thing for me. I don't think there's obviously other things in life, but there's not many things you can do as a couple or as a family that forge strong relationships
Yeah.
like doing this because of
Yeah.
the ways that it tests you.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't think it's dramatic, Tammy, what you said. I think it's romantic, is the word that
Yeah.
I would use. I think that's,
Yeah.
and sailing is romantic. It
It
is.
Yeah.
is.
Like that's,
It
I
is.
think, why a lot of people go after it is it's this romantic thing, but there's a pretty harsh reality behind the romance
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
if you deal with and that's what I'm left with now with Sile, right? Is this, we talk about when we go sailing, and often you talk about the romance,
Right.
Right.
and we forget, like I'm talking to Sile about buying another boat right now, and I'm talking to Keith, who's 3/4 of the way, or he's almost across the Pacific now, and he
Right.
wants to shoot himself,
Right.
and he's like, and I'm like, wait, I'm thinking about going to do this again, and he's telling me he never wants to do it again ever
Right.
because he's ready to shoot himself because he's,
Yeah.
but that's the reality of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
But none of us are going to do it forever,
Yeah. No, I mean,
right?
that's right.
Nobody,
That's
very
right.
few,
No.
very few people will do it forever. And we, you have trained us that way, that there needs to be an exit plan. You need to know when you've done what you're going to do. And then, we've talked about jokingly, we motor a lot on this sailboat. So when we're no longer dreaming about crossing big oceans, I think we'll buy a trawler or something where we just go back and forth to the Bahamas, and that's fine. That's fine when we get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100, you're 100% right. I think that I used to say this, that it's, well, I think it's true, but I think it's true beyond what I used to say. I used to say people that were stuck in their boats that couldn't get out are the most miserable people in the world. And it's people that do this forever that I
Right.
think, you have the stereotype of like the old salty curmudgeon sailor.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the guy who
Yeah.
does it forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
I
probably
think
never
it
leaves
takes
the
toll.
dock, never leaves his boat,
Yeah,
and never
yeah.
leaves the dock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean,
No.
you do want to keep it fresh and
Mm-hmm.
challenging, and when you find yourself, I mean, if all we do would, if we would go to a marina and park the boat, it's like boats aren't designed to be parked at marinas. That's not what they're designed for.
Yeah, we heard a great
Yeah.
saying,
The quote,
a boat
the
at a
quote.
harbor, a boat is a harbor is safe, but that's not what they're designed
Not
for.
like
That's
boats.
not what they're made for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
be that. This would be boring to me.
Yeah.
I'd be done in a
100%.
heartbeat.
Yeah. And it really does still amaze me. And I know we haven't come close to big waves yet.
No.
But as like coming across the Bahamas, we had following seas, but and they're probably, I don't know, I'm having trouble judging waves, but when you're sitting down and you see this huge wave behind you, and it's like,
Big
and
wave.
then you're at the top of the wave, and it's like, oh, that's no big deal. So it's like there are lots of great adventures yet to be had, and lots of great anchorages to be wake up in the morning or go to bed at night watching this sunset that is, you get your camera and you try to capture it. It does no good. It's like, this doesn't even come close to what we're actually seeing. It's like, yeah. So we're excited about this next year. Will be, when we cross the Pacific, that's one of those things. It's like really is on my bucket list. People say, well, I want to run a marathon. Running a marathon's never on my ball bag. crossing an
Yeah.
ocean in a little boat with 2 or 3 other people, that's on my bucket list.
Cool. I love it. I got one more question.
Sure.
Really appreciate the conversation with you guys. The question I ask everybody this. So there's people that watch this, and most of them I think are in the like aspirational dreaming stage. Maybe some similar to you guys, that are thinking about retirement. Is this one of the doors they want to open in
Right.
retirement? And maybe some other folks that are in wanted to do it in a different way.
Right.
But regardless of the way they want to do it, do you have any kind of thing that you'd want to share with those people that are thinking that this is maybe the lifestyle that they want to live now that you've done it?
For me, that's an easy one. I mean, we've met so many people that have no clue about what their mission is. And the
Mm.
idea of I first heard that from you guys was like, what's your mission? What's your objective? It's like, oh, I want to go sailing. It's like, no, 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 no. There's so much more to that question. It's like, seriously, do you want to go back and forth? Or you want to go up and down the ICW? Do you want to go up and down the ICW and go outside now and then? Do you want to go to the Bahamas? Do you want to go to the Caribbean? Do you want to go across oceans? How much time do you want to be gone? I mean, there's so many layers to that. So the idea is like, nail that one down. Nail that one down hard. Talk about it with people. Be challenged by people. Listen to different perspectives by people. I mean, that one right there, you got to nail that one down, because if you don't nail that one down, you buy the wrong boat, you buy the wrong time. I mean, it's like it leads to everything. So yeah, nail that one down. And talk it to death. What
Mm-hmm.
if it? As a pilot, it was like, what if it to death, man? Well, what happens if this, and what happens if that, and what if that thing to death, man? Until you know exactly what you want to do. And, I mean, little things
Love
like
it.
we are on our second, and we're getting ready to get on our third dinghy, because
Yeah.
we didn't what if that to death. We bought the original dinghy, and it was part of the boat. That's great. Okay, it became real obvious real fast that we needed a different dinghy because our mission was different than that. Well, then we didn't what if that to death, because
Mm.
we've got this amazing, beautiful go-to, but it's too small. So it's like, okay, we're getting ready to buy another one, because we know now
It's an important piece of
it's
equipment.
not just an important piece of equipment. It's everything.
It's
It's like
everything. Yeah.
it's your car, it's your
Yeah.
SUV, it's your holy Toledo. This is my last. So what if everything on the boat to death? It's like, well, I think I can get away with a 20-gallon water maker. Really? You think you can do that? Okay, great. I think I can get away with 1,200 watts of solar power. Really? You think that? What if that thing to death? I mean, talk that out. Talk that through. What does that mean? How does that look? So
What's the
yeah. So
impact? Yeah.
what is the
Yeah.
impact? So when you get ready to I want to launch off into this. What if that thing to death? What if that mission statement all the way down the line? Spend some time. Spend a
I,
lot of time talking about that.
I like that. You're speaking my language on that.
Yeah.
um, Tammy, what about you?
Well, it's often one person's dream and not the other. And it's tricky, because we've met people where one person said, I'm going, whether the other person buys into the dream or not. And that breaks my heart a little bit. I wasn't
Yep.
met with that ultimatum. And I do agree with you. YouTube doesn't show the whole picture all the time, but it can bridge the gap for some people's understanding.
Yep.
So if, for instance, he had a few people he was following, and when I was able to see what their life looked like on a boat and different places they were going, it really helped me let down my defenses and start having conversations. So what does that look like for you? Where would you want to go? How long do you want to stay? And so it did help open the door for me to understand what I thought your dream was off base. What your dream actually is something that I'm pretty excited about. So, I think there are ways to, when we built a house, for instance, I was so thankful for Pinterest because I could make boards of what I wanted, colors, the aesthetic, and he could look at it and say, yes, I like that, I don't like that, rather than us trying to verbalize in ways that you're not hearing me or you can't understand. Sometimes a visual representation of the thing it is you want to go do can be very helpful to at least start the conversation, or to bring up in a person to say, okay, that seems amazing, but I'm not sure I like that storm they went through, and I'm afraid of that. It might help raise all the things, the thing you're excited about and the fears. So, I mean, that's how it started for us, him watching YouTube, and then we were able to talk about it in a way that we had a little more understanding.
Yeah, let me add one more thing to
Yep.
I think having some basic training, is a good thing. Basic training in electrical systems, basic training in mechanical systems, basic training in sailing. I think the idea of, as an airline pilot, as a captain, I would get a brand new FO sitting next to me. And it took him 6-7 years sitting as an FO, watching experienced captains go through this, making good decisions on weather, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, you can't do that with sailing. It would be a good idea, but people don't have that kind of time, money, effort, or the avenue to do that. But the idea of maybe getting some good sail training. And this is a shameless plug for Jack and Jane and Amy, with their Nautic Ed thing. We have gone through some of the Nautic Ed stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'm ashamed that we have not done more of this, and it is stuff that you need to know. And it's one of these things that sail training is kind of hard to come by. When stuff hits the fan, that's when you really need to know your stuff. Or you need to have a good, if everything goes south, what am I going to do? Plan, and it's like, if that means dropping all the sails and rolling the furlers up and starting motors, that's a great plan. Don't be afraid to do that.
It's back to your what if everything to death? What if this happens, then we do what? And I agree with you. I think people don't do that enough, mostly because they don't know what if.
Right. Absolutely.
What should I what if?
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I have no idea. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's very sage advice. You said you weren't. You said you were trying to be wise, Dale. I think you're quite wise. It's very wise advice.
Then I turn around and do some of the stupidest things. And it's like, what was I thinking?
I think that's because you're human. At least that's the excuse I give myself.
Yeah. I'm counting on that one a lot, so much. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Cool. And Tammy, I love what you said about the YouTube thing. I think the ask that we ask people that come to us that are partners is that the only ask that I ever have of the partner who's maybe a little bit reluctant. So the only commitment you need to make right now is to be curious. That's it. It's the only commitment that we're asking from you. You don't need to commit to anything other than, hey, what could this be like?
Right.
And I think that YouTube is with the right lens. YouTube is a very good way to explore that. I think it's actually an incredible. It's probably one of the best things that's happened to open the door to more and more people contemplating doing this is the visual representation through YouTube. Because people are like, that's not what I thought.
Yeah. Right.
So amazing, guys. Well. Yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on with me and have a chat.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
There's a bunch of more places that I would have loved to gone down and had a chat with you about, particularly I think when it comes to relationships. I'm always fascinated by people I mean, you guys, 40 years of marriage is amazing.
Yeah.
Coming up on that, congratulations. I
Thank you.
always want to learn from people that have done things that I want to do, and that's something that I'd love to do. So that's super cool. And yeah, I just thank you for sharing like the good, like the dream and the
Yep.
challenges that you're going through, and opening the kimono a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, really appreciate that, and I think the people that will listen to it are going to appreciate it as well. So thank you.
All right. Glad to do it.
Yeah, I am going to wrap it up with everybody. So
Okay.
thank you everybody for watching this episode of the Blue Water Cruising podcast with Dale and Tammy. Tammy does have a YouTube channel. And as we've just said, very good to go watch them if you're thinking about doing this. Tammy, what is your YouTube channel?
Sailing Tiny Bubbles.
Sailing Tiny Bubbles. We will put the
Yep.
link in the description down below so you guys can go watch Tammy's YouTube channel if you'd like. Thanks again for taking the time to watch. I hope you guys learned something. If you didn't, at least I hope you found it entertaining. And
Yeah.
we'll see you next month. Next month for the next one. Thanks, guys.
Cool. See ya.